Hello and welcome to New Earth Awakening. Today we welcome to the show Radavie Riom. She began to receive messages in her late 70s. The first one was a vision of a 3-year-old boy with one hand above his head holding a golden key. He announced that they, the divine sparks, are here to help the adults. But first, the adults must release the sparks from bondage. The divine sparks collectively revealed to her that they are the essence of our soul and the light of awareness that illuminates all that is experienced. Her soul agreed to be the harbinger of their messages of peace and to break the code of human conditioning. Radavie, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Christina. I love being here with you. I love that. I look forward to our heart connections
Thank you.
and to help your listeners to remember what they really are.
Yeah, I love it. So let's start by you sharing your path and how it led you to the work you're doing today.
You know, I was thinking the other day that when I got to age 5, I had 3 assignments unknown to me because, I'm an innocent little girl. And I realized that I needed to experience and go through in the mystery of why these things happen. So I just want to say, at 2 years old, I was really abused. And the housekeeper, the nurse, lied about me, and my mother never forgot, abused me and locked me away in a storeroom until the other kids came in from school. And at 4 years old, we were not churchgoers, but I was taken to Sunday school. And oh my God, I learned, there was an awakening in me that I never forgot it. I would look up into the sky, and because there's a God is in heaven, I want to know where God is. So to me, God was this amazing being that I was different from, and I want to know about God. And then when I was 5, I'm a very introspective person. I was sit and never forgot that. My just alone by myself, and I wondered, why was I born? And really, why am I here? And it was this yearning, and I can feel it even now, that it went out into the ethers, waiting for me and for all of us to remember why we are here. We go through a lot of difficulties, but it's about experiencing and understanding. And as a matter of fact, the book that was written unin- unintentionally was about the human conditioning, about who you are as a spark, and also how to help you to to remember by giving you some meditation work in the book. So it's amazing, and I'm now really grateful for all the experience I had, because I know that my soul, because of what I'm here to do, needed to have those contrasting experiences. And that's why I have so much compassion for humanity that's living in the conditioned self.
So, Radavie, let's talk about the human conditioning. How does it come to be and how
You
does it
know,
affect us?
after going through all of my experiences, because I realize now that my soul needed to have experiences so I can really, really get with compassion the contrast. of our divine self and that. And during the time that I was going through my self-healing, I knew that I'm here to help to break the code of conditioning. And I didn't talk about that because it sounded arrogant. But it's true because over the years, say like over 30 years, I had been really, really helping people. People knew, they called me, I did the inner child work. What I did was to really help people to get back to their childhood because that's where it all started. Get back to their childhood and and bring that wounded part in because it's separate. It is separate, and I would do that. I did that for quite a while, for over 30 years, and I got to hear that part, and that part now I understand is the essence of our being that has been wounded. I would hear them, and I would tell my client, this is what they're saying, and needed my client before the session is over to be able to connect with that, to reparent that part of the child. So it was beautiful. Um, my knowingness through all these experiences is that the platform of what we really are began from the essence of our being, the innocence. But when language began and we started to be conditioned and to be programmed as to what we should be and what we ought to be, I call that the false light because we have veiled now the essence of our being. And when the messages came through, it really held a very deep place in me, and it took me a while to to accept the messages. I said, "Why me?" And but yes, why me? Because I agreed, my soul agreed to do that, and that's the reason I had all these experiences with my clients of their wounded child. So the foundation where we are living from the conditioning and the program self is really from the beliefs. We need to be this and we need to be that, and because that's what society says, and we lose our path. And no ill will on our part. It's a learning, and we continue to be conditioned throughout our adulthood. So, so, um, so, I mean, my clients are adults, and they would come to me, and they're having a problem, and they speak, and I'm a good listener, and I would then ask, "Okay, so tell me about your childhood," and that's where it starts. And I have the ability to be able to pick up and see, and my intuition is able to guide me into that knowingness. So every client I have, it's always I share in a different way based on the frequency that they come in with. So it's not a one deal. There's no book that you can learn from because I'm very indigenous too. And this is this is how my soul came in to be able to help people individually. I mean, I can talk in a group and people can understand that. But my passion really is for people to get the messages and to know what they are. During this time on the planet, it's a very auspicious. It's a very confusing. Because things are moving. There are more light coming on the planet, and things are coming up. We are feeling terrible, we are feeling doubtful, and it's about what's coming inside of us to come out to be cleared. But also, when we listen to what is going on out into the world, it keeps us in a fearful mode. And I really, for us to have compassion for what is happening, we need to go inside first. Go inside, find out what we are, so we can stand like a metaphor at the window, safe inside and looking out at the chaos that's going on. Yeah, that's the only way to be awakened, is to really look inside and to really release the past, because we all have had a past. We all have had past and wounds and traumas that we're still carrying in our back pocket. Many of us. I know. I've gone through that. And the only way to live in peace is to really go inside and work through the pain. It's not our fault at all. I often say we're here to learn, grow, and evolve. And to evolve, we got to let all of these things go. Yes.
What is your own definition of trauma and awakening, on the other hand?
To me, in the book, I refer to it as wounds, the childhood wounds, in, as a word. And trauma and wounds is when our heart is filled with emotional fear. And I commonly say the fear is a guardian that stands at the heart, and we have to remove that guardian. It's not the right one. And to remove that guardian, we have to look at the pain that resides around the heart so we can enter. To me, awakening is when we have less personhood, meaning less emotions about the world, and have more of a allowance and acceptance for what is happening. Emotions is less, awakening is less about the world's chaos and more about the sense of peace inside. And know that everything that is happening doesn't last. We are not the same person we were 5 years ago. How are we thinking that this world in chaos is going to continue for the next 5 years like that? Every day something is changing. So this is how I look at it. Awakening is a compassionate heart that accepts all that happens and accepts everyone to be as they are.
Love that. Yeah, compassionate heart. Okay, that's awesome. So let's talk a little bit about your awakening process. How did that come to pass?
It's what, I told you my soul is here to experience things. And it doesn't happen like a big boulder thing that happened. A slow experience. Remember, I talked about God. God was a golden thread in the tapestry of my life all the time, in spite of the pain, in spite of the wounding that I had to go through. There was this feeling of God always there, and God was this. And I use the word God. It's creation is a divine. But God is what my 4-year-old heard. So in all of that was happening in the world, I had a very deep sense of my inner being. And I was very attracted to the awakened teachers. And that's what I would listen to. My husband and I and son would listen. I'm not into the news. I was not. That was not part of it. It moved more into wanting to. Okay, I can say, why am I here? You remember at 5 years old, why am I here? And I knew I'm here, and I think we all are here to remember, to remember. And to remember is what moves us into inner peace. So anyway, I'm listening, and I would get a lot of being in the presence of of their frequency, you know, to a special one that I really liked at the time. I'd have higher, I mean, heightened out of the 3D dimension, and I will experience some beautiful things. And one day, my grandson had passed away, and I'm really from Jamaica. And I was on the plane to back to Jamaica because of his passing. And I was reading one of these awakening books, and a flash. I saw down the aisle this cloud-like figure that I knew it was me in a flash. And in that cloud-like memory, in that cloud-like figure, in a split second, I knew that that veil is where I was living my spiritual self. And I was so shocked. And then I said, if that's where I was living my spiritual self, who is seeing that? Who is seeing that? There's something else here that is seeing. And I thought, the only person I can ever tell this is my husband. The woman sitting beside me knew nothing about what happened because, but during the time of my spiritual endeavors, I had a spiritual group that I followed, and our teacher was a channel teacher, and I adored her because she said some great things, but it was left in the belief place in me, the veils of belief, the veils that I'm doing the right thing. I'm doing the right thing. And that was a moment of purification. I began to again, it's an experience. I realized what I thought I was, I'm not. And it took me into a deeper place of purification. And I began to open more and more to the compassion of humanity, because I said I'm a very deep, introspective person. And so this is how the awakening began, and how I see the difference and the compassion in where some people are, and the difference between them and the awakened teachers.
Thank you. Let's talk about purifying the first three chakras.
Okay. The first three chakras is where the beginning of the conditioning hangs out. In the first chakra is, you know, being here on the planet. The second is where you hold a lot of um, wounds, a lot of, and what is it? My spirit told me the secret, the secret from ourselves. Meaning, and I think to me, I interpret that as the unconscious stuff that we still hold, that we've forgotten, because we live in mainly from our subconscious. And I'm talking about the unconscious that has not been revealed to us. And of course, the third is where we stand and live from ourselves. There's no shame. We have cleared out all those shame. We have cleared out all the pain in the second chakra, which is it's an intuition. It's an intuitive place also. And if we don't clear that, we're blocking our intuition. So those three first chakras to me are the most important when we're moving into learning, growing, and evolving. And of course, that's when we're able to be more open to our hearts. Once we've cleared those, our heart, now the garden at the heart that holds us in fear, has sort of step aside or dissolved a little bit. And so the first three chakras are most important to our well-being, to our evolution.
Can you share a tool with the audience?
The thing is, they must be aware that they're having whatever the feelings that they're having within, because there's everything is connected. Everything. What are they feeling? One of the important thing is to really ground without your shoe and feel the earth coming and feel your connection with the earth. You're connecting with consciousness. And you also start to breathe. Breathe slowly and stay inside, not up here. Come down like 12 inches down to your heart and to your being. And as you breathe slowly, allow yourself to go into the inner being, in your inner sanctum, and feel what is there, what's going on, what's happening. But you have to be in that space, in that mood to say, something is here that I want to unravel. And allow, to me, the most important thing is to feel the emotions. We can think it through, but we can never change it through thinking. It will never happen. It will never happen. So the space, feeling that you're here for yourself, not about somebody hurting you, but say, I'm nurturing. I'm nurturing myself because that part of me is what needed comfort. And that's the piece that I needed to connect with. And you hold that space and you breathe slowly and very, be the comforter for that pain that you have inside of you. And to me, that's the most important thing. I don't want to say too many things. One simple thing is about be the comforter for yourself. It's the most precious thing that we can do. It is reparenting yourself, but you got to feel I'm the mother for this pain. I'm holding it. Because many of us didn't get that feeling when we needed it. I remember, this is coming to me. I remember, I guess it was before language. I was very empathic and I felt a lot of stuff and I can still remember stuff in me and I had no language to get it out. And I would go in front of an adult and I would start beating my forehead on the ground. I wanted them to know that I needed help. I wanted them to know that I'm carrying a lot of stuff. I needed comfort. I needed comfort. And all of us have gone through some trauma or some wounds that needed comfort. And that's what I really asking the listeners to remember. Be the parent for this pain. It's so beautiful. You know, look, when you look at a child, a baby, what happens to all of us when we see a baby? Our heart reaches, oh my God. The baby, the innocence in that baby is reflecting what we have been. That's a spark. That is a spark. And that is what has been veiled over and living as the program self. That's not real. We're in a false light. I need us to come back to the light of the divine.
Thank you. Can we speak about your book? The title is The Divine Sparks Speak. Awaken to inner peace in the midst of chaos. Free yourself from human conditioning. How did that happen?
So I got the messages. I got into the altered state, and it didn't happen all at once. And I remember I was I would download it consciously, and I knew I was in the kitchen talking. I'm always talking with myself about beautiful things, consciously. And I start to hear the download, and I ran upstairs to my office. I ran up, and I know something is coming. I need to write it down. And I wrote down like 3 pages that they were speaking to me, and beautiful, and it's in the book. So what I did, I made pieces. I think I'd like to open the book. Just to open, would you mind? Just open the book anywhere, no special place. May I do that? And yeah, and just say a message, that one of the messages. Okay, so I'd like the listeners to really be in their heart in a quiet space, get away from the mind, because this is multidimensional, and I do not repeat their words because there's a frequency in it. We are reaching out to the identity of personhood to team up with us, to get us out of imprisonment and change the course of living in shame and fear. We cannot release ourselves without you, the adult, and that's one little piece of it. So if you wanted me to repeat that again, we're reaching out to the identity of personhood to team up with us, to get us out of imprisonment and change the course of living in shame and fear. We cannot release ourselves without you, the adult. It touches me. It touches me sometimes
Thank you,
when I
Radavie.
read, because I know I was in another deep meditation, and I was in a higher dimension, and I felt how sacred we are. How sacred. And I saw myself put my hand on the book, and I was sobbing. How sobbing. It's not about because I wrote a book. It had nothing to do with that. The essence in the book, the messages are so valuable. And I thought, human beings, we have not felt the sacredness of our being, because we are so much in our thinking and our thoughts and our belief and the conditioning of what we're trying to do to become a better person, or to have more money and an education and a good relationship and all of that. And I understand that. I understand that because I've had thousands of clients. What I did not go through to experience, they brought it to me. So I know the the pain and the lack of love that we're feeling, because when we are unhappy and we're in our mind and doubtful, we are not in love. We're just not in love. Yes, and every time we worry about something, we have just closed the shutter to that essence of our being. And that's why it's so important to me that the messages of the book goes out so people can look at it occasionally and read and remember some of the things. And one of the things I think they said that we're a tiny seed that was born. I don't know if I can find. We have a tiny seed. Oh, here it is. At birth, we were like a tiny seed that holds the wondrous truth of life, the I am frequency. I mean, we're talking about our essence. We're talking about the essence of our soul. And nobody can tell me that there's no truth in this. Nobody, you know? So I'm very humbled. I'm really very humbled that I my soul agreed to bring that forward. And no wonder at 4 years old I I I awakened to the love of God. No wonder because I followed that path. And I'm ask your listeners to don't forget the beautiful essence that you are. We were all innocent when we came in. And if they get the book, that would be a great, really wonderful thing. I have not seen anyone who has brought the messages in clearly like that. They talk about the divine spark. I didn't know the word before when they told me. They said, we are not wounded children. We are divine sparks. And I thought, well, I never heard that. And now I hear other high teachers talk about, in their conversation about sparks, which I'm sure you have too. But that to me is about living the life as the I am frequency. I am.
Thank you. Tell us about how this channeling came about and how it shows up for
When
you in your daily praxis.
when our intuition is more available, our intuition, when our heart is more open. Because, I used to be intuitive um, growing up, I had that sensitivity. But now when I'm speaking, there are times when I'm not speaking from my mind, I'm speaking from that divine self. So it's there for everyone. It's there for everyone. But first of all, we've got to clear the past and clear the things that had deeply hurt us. And to know, okay, I'm getting something. It's our birthright. It's our birthright to go back to that place of our essence. It is our birthright. And for us to do that, we have to do it for ourselves. We we can go to someone who is very good at clearing, but they're clearing through what your energy has brought to them. They're holding that. Oh, okay, I'm getting something else. Like me, for instance, unknown at the time, I was opening the doorway for reparenting the wound. And that wound, unknown to me then, was its divine spark. I didn't know that at that time, 30 years ago. I wanted them to be a better person, and they did. They were. They tell me how much they've changed and how they look at things. But that wasn't the end. The end was when the messages came for you to awaken and to become that spark. Yeah.
Thank you. Let's talk a little bit about ancient wisdom and your indigenous healing that's going on with you. Because the old ways are the new ways.
Okay. Oh, okay. That's interesting. Thank you for asking me that. I was born in a mountain village, and there were 10 of us. My father was Chinese, and I thought, my father was Chinese, and I would laughingly lately would say, I have the yellow. I'm yellow. I'm white, yellow, brown, and black. So I have all the nations in me, and um, growing up very young, I knew I was different. Nobody else think the same way I think. None of them think I'm kind of, what I got from living in that mountain village is that these Jamaicans are very spiritual, and they may not be very educated, some of them. They know, the people around us in that, they're not very, but they're psychic. And oh, I hung on to them because I needed to remember the indigenous ways. I didn't know that then. And so that is what pulled me. And I love South America. I I remember going to Peru that I had a lifetime in Machu Picchu. And I know, and that is her name today, and that's my name today, Radavie. I'm attracted to, later in my life, I'm attracted to the plant medicines because it's very indigenous. I yearned for it. I never experienced it. I yearned. And I remember one of my girlfriend said, oh, she laughed it out and said, oh, Radavie is just remembering a past life. And it stuck with me because it's true. It was really true. Because I was a shaman many times. I was a Native American too. And so I came back, my soul came back to experience those indigenous days. I'm sure, I had other lifetimes elsewhere, but that is what I came to experience and explore. And that is why many times I'm talking with someone and my intuition comes up, I think. And so each one of us is not here to experience the same things, but it's important for us to know, what is it that pulls me? What is it? What is it that attracts me? And people are talking about many times, you know, I don't know what my soul's mission is or something. They say, I want to know what my soul's. And I would commonly say, what is it you have a passion about? That it doesn't matter what anybody says, you can't let that go. And they will say, and I said, think about it. That's part of your soul's calling. And when people acknowledge that and recognize it, the more we become aware of that which we know, that's when the portal opens up more. So that's how I feel about it.
Thank you. I love how you brought up the purpose as well,
I
you know?
know.
Of just,
I know.
what makes your heart sing? What is it?
I started writing the book when I was age 7. That's it. I was very introspective. Who knows at 7 about this mystical, philosophical thing? But anyway, when I think I was 6, I was selling some of the fruits on the tree. So I was really good at business, and I started a successful business that still exists today. My children are in it. But the reason I brought that up is that not because I was very good at it and it was successful. That's where I belonged. Remember, I had that deep feeling of God is somewhere there in me, but I didn't think that God is there. I'm feeling it. This is not for me. This is not. And I moved away from being a business person, finding my way home to here. And and this is what brings me great peace and compassion. So I'm here to help people to break the code of the false belief that holds them in the false light. If they go to my website, for my book, I have I have a it's not a really meditation, but I forgot what I call experience to really hear the difference between what you really are. But you have to really be there. So I'm offering one because they're all in the book. There are 12 of them. And I'm offering one if they go to my website, radavie.net. It's pretty simple. And I offer a 20-minute complimentary to anybody who wants to hear more about their own, not about me, but how can I support them to move into, move through the chaotic time that we're going through. So that's what I'd like, that's what I like to offer. And now I say, let your heart feel the love. Don't let anything veils the path of your divine self. I've gone through it. And because I've gone through it, I know you can. I came to learn all of that through my own hard knocks. And we all do. So I can hold a space for you and to honor you, your divinity. Whoa. See, I'm an inner peace guy. That's it. I want people to live in peace. That's my passion. I'm a peacemaker. Yes. Yeah, I want to remind everyone that we are all of us, we do different things, but there's one thing in us that can never change, and that is a spark that comes, we're from the one flame of the divine, one flame of God. And I finally found God, by the way. It wasn't in heaven, it's in all of us. So that was, no. Yeah.
A full circle. So thank you, Radavie, for being today with us.
Namaste.